Okay, I am here with my new friend, Kyle Pease. Kyle, will you tell everybody who you are and what you do?
Yes, my name is Kyle Pease. I am the Chief Inspirational Officer and the co-founder and the Director of Inclusion for the Kyle Pease Foundation.
Yes, sir. And can you tell what that organization is?
Yes, the Kyle Pease Foundation started in 2011 by myself and my older brother Brett with the mission to improve the lives of people with disabilities through sports and beyond. And today we have raised over $11 million, and we have an operating budget of 2.2 million every year, and we help out um, between 150 to 200 athletes and their families every year.
Incredible. Incredible. Okay, we're going to get into lots of stuff. Um, Tell me and the listeners about your disability.
So I have cerebral palsy, um, along with my older brother Britt. I have a twin brother Evan, who lives in New York. And at birth, it was just a freak accident. And I had too many red blood cells that caused a lack of oxygen to my brain. So I have been in a wheelchair my whole life. Um, but that doesn't stop me from pursuing life and pursuing a faith of my own. And I love doing life.
I was thinking about Bobby Norwood who introduced us. So there's some questions I have that I reached out to both Bobby Norwood and Andrew Vogel. Both are racers in your organization, have pushed, I think is the terminology.
That's
Um, and the interesting thing is, Kyle, I knew we've known each other for a couple of months. I mean, this is a new relationship, and but I knew about you for a long, long time because Andrew Vogel has been a racer for you for many, many years, and my family has donated every time he's asked to help support. And I just always thought it was such an amazing um, organization, and we'll talk more about the specific work you all do. But then Bobby Norwood reached out to me, 3 or 4 months ago, and suggested that we get together. And I don't know, maybe from your side, how did that come about that he put my name in the hat to meet up with you?
so yes. So my brother, at the end of last year, um, has always encouraged me to find a mentor to guide me through professionally, and somebody um, that has a lot of business savvy to them. And he was like, I want you to pick it. Um, so I immediately thought of Bobby because I admire the heck out of him, and I think he's just one of the best guys I know. And so um, I called him out one day and I said, Bobby, can you be my mentor for the year? And he was like, yeah, say, you don't need to say anymore. So we've been meeting every month, and he's been giving me good business books to read about how to become a better leader and all that. And he was talking about you and how you have written a lot of books. And he said, you got me my buddy Jeff. He has a lot of kids, so you might want to be flexible with him with his time. So I know that we connected pretty quickly. Got our calendars set up, and we met over at the coffee shop at Emily. So it was, I didn't know what to expect. Um, I know it was cold that morning, and I needed some help. And I think that's one of the coolest things about my life is that I depend on people for everything, from going to the bathroom to help me get dressed and help me get out the door and all of that. So it was pretty cool to meet you, Jeff, and ask you right away to help me with some pretty intimate things in my life. And so it was cool that Bobby kind of connected the dots and allowed us to meet.
Yeah. Bobby and Andrew are two of the greatest guys that I know. And so like, if that's the type of person that participates in your organization, it's no wonder you've raised 11 million so far and have such a wide impact. Those two guys are great. Yeah. I think, Bobby obviously reached out and said, hey, would you spend some time with Kyle and chat with him? And, I'll never forget. I think we talked about this after, but, you know, meeting you, and I was early to the coffee shop, and you came in your wheelchair, alone, and immediately needed me to help take off your hat and take off your hoodie. And I had, text you ahead of time and gotten your drink order, but then I, needed to give you that drink. I needed to get a straw and hold it up every time, you were thirsty. And your vulnerability, your immediate trust, it touched me. I mean, you have to go through life, I imagine, having to rely so much on other people, and you just immediately put yourself in my hands. And I was honored and touched. And I guess that's maybe something that I think is one of your superpowers, is your ability to trust. Would that be fair?
Yeah, man, I think I think that's very fair. I think that that's an area where I am weak, physically, and having to put trust in complete strangers. I mean, I'll be honest with you. A couple weeks ago, somebody stole my phone, so I had to get a new phone. So I am not naive either. I know that there's evil out there as well, but um, because of my faith, I put myself out there and trusting that complete strangers like yourself. I mean, you're a friend now, but when I first met you, I didn't know you from Adam and Eve, right? And so just having that ability to trust to trust you is one of my strengths, I believe. So it's a weakness of mine because I need help. But it's also in the strength that I get to see the good out of people, and that I get in a way I find the best in people, and I think that's a gift um, that I'm that I'm blessed with, and that I get to find the best in every person. So yeah, I mean it's a burden. Don't get me wrong, but a lot of people have told me that it's a burden that they want to be a part of. So I feel like on my hardest days, I realize the burden that I am, but it's a burden that people want to be around and they want to be in my space. So I have to embrace that and thank God for the people that He have allowed me to meet.
Yeah. Um, and we'll talk about your main caretaker, because I think that, you talked about Sam when we met before, but before
Yeah.
I get there, I want to talk a little bit about your childhood. I've had the chance to, I haven't had a chance to meet your brother that lives here, or your brother that doesn't live here, yet, but I've watched some videos. You guys, I'll put a link to the YouTube channel that you guys have that has some really great videos, and some of it shows you growing up and your brothers taking you around and you participating. And it seemed like you had that spirit early on of like, I don't care if I'm a little bit different. I want to be included. I want to be competing. I want to be there. And it seems like your brothers really embrace that.
Yeah, I think all the credit really goes to my parents because they set out to have an inclusive household, and that's really rare in these days now. Because back when I grew up in the 80s and the 90s, it was it was a lot different than it does now. Cause now you could go somewhere and it's all accessible, and the person with disability could be included at a birthday party or whatever activity they're doing. But for me, everything wasn't um, as accessible as it is now. So my parents really set up a inclusive household for all of us to be a part of. And Ellen and Brett did a really good job of including me in every activity, whether it was a baseball game in the backyard or whether it was going on vacation with my family. They would always find a way to, include me if it wasn't as accessible as they wanted it to be.
Yeah. Well, they did an incredible job, raising all of you. But to see your strength and perseverance, to see at least the videos of Brent, taking you on these races, which we'll talk about in a few minutes here. It's just it's very inspiring. And for someone like myself, who I try hard to understand the massive amount of privilege that I have as a human being, and I'll never be able to really appreciate in every aspect of that. But your again, your faith, your spirit, it's really inspiring to me. As I think about like your life, I did some research, and all right. So this, I'm just curious about how difficult this must have been for you. So it says at age 9, you underwent significant surgery that involved having both hips broken and straightened, followed by a summer in a body cast. Like for you to go through things like that and come out with the seemingly very positive, uplifting attitude. Where did that come from? So can you talk about that experience in particular that summer, but also just like, does it come from your faith? Does that come from your parents? Where does that spirit come from?
Yeah, I mean, I'll never forget that I would do what they called a spiker cast, which covered me from my belly button all the way to my legs, and it was very hard. And but I knew um, from my parents that I had to have a positive mental attitude. It took me a really long time to find my faith. It almost took me 28 years to find God, and ultimately that led to Christ and all of that. But in the early years, I just really relied on my parents and relied on what they instilled in me, which was to always to always look at the positive rather than the negative. And I'll never forget during that recovery when I was in the body cast. I'm a huge sports fan, so my dad took me to the Braves game, and uh, it was a wheelchair that laid all the way back. So for me to be on my back to watch a baseball game um, was a really big deal, and I couldn't put on any clothes, so like I had to break it over me and all of that. But I just really thought that was uh, a great example of, don't let anything stop you. Like if you believe in something and you want to achieve it, then go for it. And that you are on your back, literally walking the break game, then do it. Don't let anything stop you. And that's the biggest example that I learned that during that whole crazy time of that surgery, where they almost lost me because my right lung collapsed and they had to do some work to get me stable again, which they did. But it was what I wanted to do. Like I wanted to have that normal life, even though there was so many obstacles during that surgery and everything.
Wow. Wow. I didn't know that part.
Yeah,
Hmm. Well, thank you for sharing that. One of the things too, again, I'll talk about Sam here. So Sam Harrison, right, is your caretaker, is your
yeah,
main caretaker, right?
yeah.
You have, I believe you said you have your own apartment, correct?
I do. I
Yep.
do. Yeah.
But then Sam, can you talk about sort of Sam's role? Like he shows up when you wake up, he's with you throughout the day, he's helping you do everything for the most part.
Yeah. So Sam came to me from Emory. He started when he was 21 years old. And I just kind of hired him off the street. I did hire him off the street, but he didn't have any background in caregiving for someone with special needs. So, um, the, what he does for me is along with all my other great caregivers, because I have about 14 of them, and they all do a fantastic job. But Sam comes in about once a week, and he either works in the morning, he help me get up and get me breakfast, they help me brush my teeth, and go to the restroom, and then we kinda I'm on my way. He's on his way to his everyday job, and then a PM shift is where Sam or any other of the caregivers come in at night about 6 o'clock, and they help me do my emails, text messages, help me eat, bathe, and then we watch TV or anything to help me wind down. And then I normally go to bed about 9:30, 9:45. So that's kind of what the schedule looked like. But Sam had we just developed a friendship pretty quickly when he first started working for me. And it was really big for me to establish that, yes, Sam is my friend, but Sam is still a worker too, that he get paid to take care of me. So, that was pretty interesting to kind of draw that line in the sand where, I wanted him to be a friend, but I also needed him to do a job. And sometimes those lines can get a little bit muddy, especially when you know somebody for 15 years, like I have known Sam. But outside of my brothers and my parents, Sam is probably one of the best guys I know. He's on par with Bobby and other people that I think very highly of. So I know we talked about this yet, but Sam and I have been to heaven and hell together. There's been a lot of good times, a lot of good laughs, and there has been some very, very hard times where I didn't know we could continue, in the working relationship and as friends. But um, we were able to forgive and move on, and Sammy definitely, like I said, one of the best dudes that I know.
Yeah. What a blessing to have
Yes,
him in your life.
yes,
That's
absolutely.
yeah. Um, what's your favorite food, by the way?
Favorite food.
Uh-oh, might have lost the video.
Well,
There you are. Gotcha.
sorry about that.
That's all right. I stumped you with the
Mm.
favorite food question. It blew the interview up.
Nah, I would say definitely like steak and potatoes, and for like a race meal, like I've done since Ironman, I would do like we always do like baked chicken and broccoli and like rice. So I'm easy. I love to eat. So basically whatever you put in front of me, as long as I have somebody to help me, I'm gonna eat it. So yeah. So tacos, like a good salad and all that. So I'm easy.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned, sort of race meals. So the story as I read it was that in 2010, your brother had accomplished an Ironman, and you sort of asked him, "Hey, do you think someone like me could ever do that?" Is that how it happened and it all
Yeah.
started?
Yeah. Absolutely. He was he went to Florida State, and he was a little out of shape. When you're in college, you do, what college people do, and you drink and have a good time and meet people. And he came back from college and really started pursuing endurance sports, and he built his way all the way to an Ironman in Louisville, and he invited the whole family, and I was just enthralled by what I saw that day. And at the end of his race, I asked him, can people in wheelchairs do Ironman? And he said yes. Um, so from there, that's how this whole journey and the vision really got started back in 2010.
Yeah. So how did I am still trying to figure out, like, I can understand then you beginning to compete, right, with your brother pushing you, and but how did you go from that, and what was the first race you did? Did you do like a 5K, or had you done races before?
Yeah, I mean, that's always a funny story. So, our first race that we did was a 10K, a local 10K in the Tucker area. It was called the Charles Harris 10K. And I work at Public part time in addition to my work with the Kyle Pease Foundation. And I remember I showed up for that first race in my public uniform. And back then, the outfit wore a tie and a vest and sweat. So I showed up in my complete public outfit because I had to go to work afterwards, and I thought it would be very challenging for Brett to address me and then get me back in my public uniform and all that. So I just showed up in my public outfit, and Brett was like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm going to work after this." So um, he was like, "Well, you're gonna be sweaty and all that." So I was like, "Well, I need to learn that for myself if I'm going to do these races." So that was a good moment for me to learn that you shouldn't wear a work outfit going to work. I mean, going to a race.
Hmm. That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm curious then, how in the world do you even start? Who introduces the idea there should be a foundation? There should be the Kyle Peace Foundation so we can help other people do this.
Yeah, so it was kind of my idea. We did our first triathlon in Tampa, Florida. And immediately whenever you do a race, at the end of a big race, there's always a red carpet or a blue carpet. Uh, art carpet to make you feel good as you cross the line. And this particular race had a blue carpet. And I'll never forget during my excitement and getting to the finish line, I was like, I want other people to experience this same thrill and this same joy that I'm experiencing. So I was like, I want to create a nonprofit so that people can come and they can enjoy and they can forget about their disability and they can just be the athlete. And then the parent, they can be the soccer mom or the soccer dad or the soccer grandparent, like because people with disabilities, their parents, they might be the primary caretaker. They might not have a Sam or Amy or somebody on their team. It might just be a family member. So they are inundated in everything that their loved one does. So for them to get to sit down and be the spectator, that's what it's all about for me. Yes, we have a vision. Yes, we have a mission. Um, and that's everything is great. And I'm not taking that away. But it's important for me that whenever a athlete comes to us and they want to do a 5K or a Ironman, I want them to forget about their challenges for the day, and I want them to focus on being the athlete, and I want their loved ones to enjoy being a spectator and not being involved with the athlete. I think Andrew Vogel is a great example of that with his athlete who he races with and loves and Paul, Paul's family is very involved because Paul is nonverbal. But what Andrew had done for Paul to be the athlete on the race course is incredible. And their bond is one of the strongest that we have within the foundation. Now, so it's just cool for Paul's parents to sit back and have their coffee or whatever and allow Andrew and Paul to be the athlete and to be the teammate and, just for everybody to enjoy and see their full potential.
That's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. Um, I'm struck by the growth in, I guess you started in 2011, you said?
Yep.
Yep. So in 14 years to get to having a budget over $2 million, I run a couple nonprofits that I started a while ago, and they're not anywhere near that. So as you know, to be able to grow your organization as much as you have, what were some of the challenges that you had over the years? There must have been a ton, but what were some of the ones that were the bigger challenges to get over?
Yeah, honestly, the biggest challenge was finding athletes. It
Mm,
took us it took us 9 months to find our first athlete. Like
wow.
though, and there were times that I was like, "What am I doing? Why are we doing this?" And now I look in the mirror and I'm like, "Wow!" Like together, me and Brett created this. But there's always gonna be challenges where it might be, a family applying for a grant and they want a lot of money so that they could do a remodel to their bathroom or whatever the case might be. And we might be able to, partially help out and not help out all the way, or we might be able to help out. So there's always small challenges in every situation that we, come to, but there's always a workaround, and there's always ways to, talk to a donor and explain to them what the challenges are and see if they get help out. But I would say that our biggest challenge right now is athletes and volunteers.
Hmm.
That we need more volunteers to push all of our athletes and all that. So that's what we're seeing now. But as soon as you let yourself off the pedal, then you need more athletes, right? So, I mean, you always have to go full speed and surround yourself with good people so that they can continue to spread the word of the Kyle Pease Foundation.
What's your ultimate goal then for the organization?
The ultimate goal, I would love um to take it overseas. I think that there's a need for people less fortunate than I am to see what Lacey can do for them, and so that they can um have their full experience, and so that they can see their full potential of being an athlete and being a person that belongs uh, to their community. So that's my goal is to take it overseas. But that would take a lot of hard work, but it is very achievable as well.
Hmm. Have you been overseas?
I've been overseas a couple of times. I went to Spain recently and during COVID, so that was a real different. And then I went to Italy when we were little, so that
Okay.
was pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Um, I want to pivot just a little bit and ask you some questions. Actually, I think this one was probably from Bobby, but it was either Bobby or Andrew. And he wrote, "There's a lot about Kyle's daily life that's hard. What's the best part about being Kyle Peace?"
The best part about being Kyle Pease is probably the people that I've gotten to meet. And that's a kind of a credit to who I am in my faith. I think we touched on this again for a couple weeks ago when we met. That is probably my strongest um my strongest suit is bringing people together. So I love the people that I meet, and I want them to be as successful as possible. So I think that's the coolest part of who I am in the platform that God has given me.
Hmm. And is that, you and I are going to be meeting soon to part of what we're going to do is go through my system of helping, sort of identify a purpose that someone has in this life, and bring it up a little bit more if someone already has it defined, and maybe put some structure around it, so that that we're going to be meeting soon to talk about that. Would you say that is part of your purpose to obviously help? Well, why don't you tell me what you think your purpose is?
Um, I think my purpose is to really give people a sense of hope to take them from their lowest of lows and show them how to get to the highest of high. And I think that it's not gonna be easy. But if you commit to something and you believe in something, there's a sky in the limit. I think that you have to tackle your challenges head on, and for me, like this is where my faith comes in, cause I can't do anything without God. And when you partner with Him, then you can really unlock every every challenge, and then you can see the promises that He has for you. So, I think that you need to embrace the suck. I know that me and Bobby talk about that a lot, and how when you embrace it, you can see your gifts, like your gifts are beginning to untap, you know. And we always talk about how the the hardest thing about your life, it might be right in front of you. Like, so we need to look in the mirror every day and and remove ourselves so that we can see the full potential and everything that He wants you to accomplish in your life.
Beautiful. A sense of hope. I love that. I love that so much. I want to hit you with a couple of random questions before I ask you my last question. Um, do you have a favorite movie?
I'm not really a movie guy, but if I were to say one, it would probably be oh man, that's hard. Probably a sports movie, I would say,
Mm.
like um
Remember the Titans?
yeah, that's a good one for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
for
All right.
sure.
Well, then, you're a TV show guy then?
Yeah, definitely.
You got a favorite couple of those?
Um, of course, Ted Lasso. You can't go wrong with Teddy Lasso. But I mean, honestly, I watch every Braves game,
Mhm.
every Falcons game. I'm a huge Hawks fan right now, so
Mhm.
we'll see what happens. So, not really a TV guy, but Teddy Lasso was definitely one of them, and then a lot of sports.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a theme here.
Yeah,
Sports. Do
yeah,
you
yeah.
do you read books or listen to books or anything?
Yeah. I'm an audible guy. That was
Mhm.
one thing that Bobby carried me with. So, um, so I'm reading a couple books right now.
Mhm.
Um, kind of about the seven best habits, or um, that's not the name of the book, but
Yep.
um,
The 7 Habits of
I'm a effective leader. Yeah,
Successful People. Yeah. Mhm.
yeah. So I like the inspiration books because they provide me with the hope for my
Mhm.
own life.
Have you listened to Shoe Dog? Do you know that one?
Yeah, I'm reading that one right now.
Yeah, yeah, you are reading it right now?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. I think you'll enjoy it. I
yeah,
love that book. Oh my gosh, I love that book.
yeah. It's
And
true.
yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Um, okay, last question for you, and I think this was also from one of our guys. Um, what does it mean to you to see people wearing Kyle Pease Foundation apparel and supporting your mission?
It is, first of all, it's overwhelming. It's exciting. It's it truly is immense feeling of pride and gratitude uh, for the hard work that Brett and I have created, and I want to leave a legacy. Um, so like recently, we started a new program within the Kyle Pease Foundation called the Kyle Pease Kids, and that whole program, it got evolved around the youth movement, because I want to make sure that whenever whenever I leave, that the foundation is set up for success, and the younger generation is gonna help us succeed in that endeavor. So, I'm gonna try to set up all these programs to ensure that the youth and the disabled youth is gonna be taken care of as well. So to see people wear the logo and our brand just make me feel so proud of what we have accomplished. And I am better because of the people that I have met. And I'm better because I hopefully gave them a sense of purpose and gave them the hope that they might need or that they have, have felt through the race with the Kyle Pease Foundation.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Listen, I talk a lot about ripple effects and, wanting to make an impact and hoping that it has a ripple effect beyond, myself. And the ripple effect, I mean, you're creating waves at this point. The impact you're going to make certainly have on a national level, but as you begin to expand the reach of the foundation and the work you do, it's so inspiring. So I am so excited about our new friendship. I'm excited to have you at the office next week, and we'll hash it up on purpose. And I'm thrilled to be in your orbit, man. I've been a fan for so long, and inspired from the sidelines, and now inspired in person. So thank you so much for joining me. And hopefully we'll inspire some athletes. So hopefully we'll inspire some volunteers to get involved, because I know that's what you guys need. But just really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, man, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. See you soon.
All right, yes.